there's a lot of ignorance that goes on in the UK. Actually, the main reason is because it's built on racist ideologies, you know. It's called the United Kingdom. Racism is, let me think.
Racism is when it's like institutionally indirect and direct. So the institution can be racist when they basically prevent ethnic minorities from getting certain job roles and stuff like that, or they even just prevent them from getting the job or whatever. And then you can be indirect and direct. And what's that now? You know, I really learn about this.
Racism is discriminating against a person because of their race, the colour of their skin, or their ethnic makeup. Usually creating a system for them to keep them at a disadvantage because of those things.
Yeah, it can be indirect and direct. Okay, wait. There's direct when you I think it's when you say it's like something that's blatant, like very obvious that you're racist. And then there's indirect where it's like you can't see it unless you nitpick it and you actually deep that that's racist. And it's towards ethnic minority people. And yeah, I was gonna ask a question. Do you think black people can be racist to white people? Do you think? I don't know.
I'm not. Well, it depends, innit? What my understanding is, it refers to. It comes from a sense of hate, because, well, we've all experienced some hate because of my color, and but that's my understanding of racism.
When someone discriminates someone else because of their skin colour or culture.
Racism is a very broad umbrella term. I think it kind of refers to the systemic oppression of a specific people or group within society. Do you think the UK is racist? Yes. is racist?
The UK is racist because there's a lot of ignorance that goes on in the UK. Actually, the main reason is because it's built on racist ideologies. You know, it's called the United Kingdom.
I do think the UK is quite racist. There's a lot of discrimination that does go on, especially with, like, say if you were a black guy driving a car, you're more likely to get pulled than, say, a white person driving a car, which is quite crazy, but it's still going on, even though everyone is blinded to it.
Yeah, do I think the UK is racist? Why? I do, because you had things like the British Empire, where they're literally colonising lands, taking over countries, and it was that whole racist ideology of having them under them and then creating, put them in disadvantaged situations, and then even if they, in turn, running their own country, Britain, the same way, where they'd put those people at disadvantages, discriminate against them, create propaganda against them, and it benefited widely off of it. It's also a capitalist country, and capitalism benefits from racism a lot. So it makes money, makes someone rich. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen it, I've been affected by it, and I think racism doesn't just stop in America or stop in a certain continent or place in the world. I think it's everywhere, because it's a general thinking that you're a dominant race and that you stereotype other people, you're discriminating other people, and that happens everywhere. And UK is not what's it called? UK is part of that. Do you know what I mean? It might not be publicized as much.
Oh, definitely. I don't think I've been to a place where there wasn't some kind of racism. It's just, I feel like because the UK, there's a lot of people, it's easily swept under the rug. It's not as exposed as an American racism. And because the UK, I feel like it's not in your face racism. It's more passive aggressive racism. So it's like the small things, the little things, but yeah, definitely it's racist. It's just quiet.
Yeah, I've been accused, and it just made me laugh. It's like, that don't even make you racist. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, the term racism has changed a lot, and some people really just don't quite get it. So when they try to accuse you, it's like, no, that's not even racism. But have I been racist? No. No, I'm not being racist.
Yeah, been racist. My younger days, you know, when you're a child saying ignorant stuff, you know, you can end up saying the wrong things. This was ages ago, when I was like a really young kid in like year 4, running around saying stuff. But yeah, for the record, there's no reverse racism, and I haven't been accused of being racist, but that's because, you know, the things I said, that it was at a time when there was so much ignorance in your youth, and then you hear people say things, or you hear things on the TV, you're watching things like Little Britain and stuff like that. At least I was in year 4, and then you're gonna mimic what you hear on TV without realizing that what you're saying is bad, and you're not actually trying to offend anyone. You're just regurgitating what you've heard on TV. It was one of those ones. So it wasn't like racist intentionally. It was just me realizing that, yeah, back then I was probably saying stuff I heard on TV, and the things I was watching on TV were not politically correct.
No? Man, I don't think so.
I don't think I have. I think it's very easy for some people to assume, but I'd never ever discriminate someone because of their culture, religion, or skin colour. So
Nah, I've never been accused of being. I mean, I might have said some words that might have been a bit racist, but probably out of anger, but not a place of hate, just frustration and anger.
No, I've never been knowingly and intentionally being racist or been accused of being racist, but I think there's an element of prejudice that exists within as well.
Yeah. No, I don't think all white people are racist. I think a lot of them maybe have certain unconscious bias and preconceptions and stuff like that. But some people say it's not 100% their fault because a lot of the fact of the upbringing and the stuff that you're taught, and I don't know, it kind of like stays in the unconscious. But not every white person is physically behaving. How would you say it? They don't physically act it out, because it's very techie. Like, can't just look at someone and say they're racist, innit? It's a matter of behavior, how they treat you, their mindset towards certain races. That's what kind of determines. But nah, not all of them are racist.
Not all white people are racist, but all white people have the capacity and potential to be racist, because racism is a system that benefits them greatly and puts them in a position of power, and not often are they aware of the privilege that it grants them. In recent times, thankfully, a lot of white people are becoming aware of this, which is great, but doesn't make them all racist by nature. They're not inherently racist, no.
I don't think that all white people are racist. A lot of people do have a lot of cultural education, but I feel like the older generations have been brought up around, obviously, the older ways and like bullies and etc. etc. So I do feel like there is still a lot of racism out there which people have been brought up with, which is not okay, really.
Nah, that's not true. Not all white people are racist. People who think all white people are racist deep down themselves should really be looking at themselves, really, because that means you're coming from a place of hate if you assume everyone you know who's white is racist. Nah, that's not true.
No, I don't think all white people are racist, but all white people can't necessarily experience racism. As in, you can't actively be racist to a white person unless society was equal.
Depends on race, innit?
Yeah, they don't really care. My family don't really care about the race of the person. There's nothing for them to really be concerned about. As long as the person is of good quality, they don't really mind. At least I hope. That's what they tell me.
Let's say if he's white, I think on the whole they'll be okay, but there'd be some chitter chatter depending on the specific race I bring home. Cause I feel like the generation before us, like our parents, everything is just so, because they've experienced certain things. Like, even if I brought an Asian, like Pakistani, stuff like that, they'd be like, be careful, like, they don't like black people, this and that. It's like, yeah, maybe some of them don't like black people, doesn't mean the person you're bringing home doesn't like black people. And it's the same with, like, white people and stuff like that, and vice versa.
I'd hope so, but I feel like some of the older generations of my family may not be okay with it just because of like what they've been brought up with, which is really sad, to be honest. But
Yep. It's a conversation I've heard with my mom, and just like, whoever you bring home, if you love them and they love you, I'm fine. It's no problem.
Immediate family, yes. But my grandma.
Definitely. I think I experience it at work sometimes, where if a customer asks me for help and I tell them we don't have something, it feels like they think I'm lying or something. But then when I get someone same age as me, but he's white, and he comes and tells them the same thing, they nod and like, oh, thank you very much for trying, and then they just pretend as if I wasn't there, but I just pretend not to see it.
Of course, I face discrimination a lot. You know, it's something that you have to be aware of. You know, the way people are treating you and understanding if it is based on your race. And a lot of times it is based on my race. And yeah, it happens often. It happens weekly. So it is what it is.
Weekly.
Yeah.
I do think it's I've got friends which are, you know, black, and in shops they've been like searched instead of the white friends and stuff like that because they are black, which is obviously very discriminative, and shouldn't be a thing, but unfortunately it is.
There's a lot of levels to it, and it's like the more you're aware of it, the more you realise, yeah, this is a bit mad and this doesn't actually make sense. Like, on a normal level, this shouldn't be happening. And if I was somewhere where there was a great appreciation or understanding of black people, this would not be happening to me. It's weird, but there's a lot of stuff like that happens all the time. Silly.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I think throughout my whole life, primary school, they think you're more aggressive. Do you know what I mean? More time it's your white friend that's more aggressive than you. And I think everyone experienced this in high school, and then teachers always kind of like grouping you off together. They're assuming that you're always the fastest person. Why does everyone think black people can run? Don't know why. They always come for you about being chatty in class when your white counterpart has been chatting the most the whole time. And they just think you're just misbehaving all the time. And it's just such a negative view of black kids. And even when you grow up, when you're older, it's like, especially as a woman, black woman, you have to almost rethink everything you do because they're scared that you might break out into aggression. They over exaggerate things, and I'm just tired of always having to recalculate everything I do because there's preconceptions of who they see black women as or black people in general. When we all come in different shapes and sizes, different languages, different articulations and stuff like that, they just like to put us in a box and assume.
You stop racism from growing by stopping watering it and stop encouraging it. And I think the main thing is the systematic racism, because racism is going to always exist. It's not going to stop. But if you get rid of it on a systematic level, then I think that's the main thing in it, because you can deal with day-to-day. Honestly, there's a difference between day-to-day racism, like someone says something wild to you in the streets, versus systems being established to put you in disadvantaged positions. That's when racism is really bad, is when it's systematic and it stops you from getting jobs. It causes you to be killed, causes you to, have less opportunities. That's when it's actually mad, because if people would chat crap in it, someone can say something random to you in the street and then you can deal with them, or you can ignore it. And that's easier to handle than systems being designed to put you at a disadvantage, that's when it becomes peak.
I feel like we need to educate kids from like being in primary school and nursery to that racism isn't okay, because remembering like previously from when I was in school, there were nothing to say racism was okay, but then nothing to say it wasn't. And I feel like educating children would potentially help the generations to come even more in stopping racism from growing.
There's an idea of this kind of kumbaya, like everyone's equal, all lives matter kind of mentality that steps in when we're talking about, you know, stopping racism. But I think the task is quite big and it's very broad, in the sense that it goes into so many different aspects of how people are comfortably living their lives. Ugh, do it again. Comfortable. Hey. Okay. You know what you need to do is oral exercises, bro.
What? Be like, first of all, I think education systems have a big impact in this question, because when you deep it, the amount of hours that we spend in education and the years that we spend in education is that they have the biggest impact on how we process things and how we view things and shape the world. So I think if they start giving teachers a bigger and broader topics to talk about in terms of race and racism and how it can be viewed in this and that, and even like Black History Month being the same things, like there's so much to cover, but you like to give us people 30 days to understand from Black perspective, and that's all they forget that in the other couple months that's to come.
Because I think it's just the lack of education. There's so much we can teach, but at the end of the day, it's like, even if you look at schools and if you actually like history, from my thinking, I think the only history we did on Black people was roots, and that was it. And there's so much to being Black than just roots, but anything else, or they'll teach everything else. But definitely it should start at schools, because no one's born a racist. It's, you know, something they're taught.
And I don't know, I feel like when you start teaching kids how their behaviors and what they say and how thinking a racist way can affect certain people, I think you can start changing the way people kind of like behave. Because I think racism is a very much internal thing, and you can't, they try to change it on the surface. Like, okay, we're employing more ethnic and minority people, well done. We're introducing laws now, well done. But the same people are still racist. So obviously there's something inside that needs to change. And you can't always say, oh, well, he had a bad upbringing, it's not his fault. But there's people who have been growing up around alcoholics, they don't drink alcohol. So why has that changed? Why can't, your parents are racist, but why are you racist? You know what I mean? It's your choice to change and to educate yourselves. And educate's a big thing in change. And that's why I say schools, like primary school, high school, all these them people there, they need to like change the curriculum and kind of understand that even the way they're teaching is kind of a bit mad, how they treat certain Black people, Asian people to compared to like their white counterparts. So yeah, there needs to be a massive reform and change.
The act of stopping racism itself is a big task. And I think it goes kind of to understanding like what factors play into, or what factors contribute to building the society we exist in today. How do we dismantle those? And I think that's how we can kind of get closer to stopping racism. But I think the act of actually stopping racism, that's a big task. And I think a lot of people would have to adjust a lot to be able to make that happen.
Some people probably get branded as racist unfairly, but it's very rarely ever unfairly. Like, because, you know, Black people, you know, anyone that faces racism doesn't really like do it because it's fun to point out racism. It's not, you know, more time people don't even mention it or even don't see it because it makes them feel uncomfortable even as a victim. So it's, if someone's saying that you're being racist, you should actually listen to them and talk about it, because they're not going to do it for fun, to be on trend with anything. That's something that like people who haven't got any business putting out racist statements would rather do. They're the people that like to do things for trends. We don't do things for trends. Victims don't do things for trends like that.
Unfairly. I think if you get branded as racist, you're racist, innit? Like, take ownership. But people get so offended and defensive. Like, I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be a hostile conversation, and it is, and that's what's making it worse in terms of how to tackle that issue of being branded as racist and stuff like that.
I would say I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. I mean, I've been around people who I know they're not racist, but ignorance kind of makes them say stupid things. But I know it's not coming from hate. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It's more of, you need to teach them to know what's good to say. But yeah, some people can be branded as racist even though they're not, you know.
I don't think so, because I feel like racism is pretty clear as to when you are being racist and not racist. So I don't think it's branded unfairly.
I think when it comes to this this discussion, you have to understand that people who accuse you of being racist are probably experts in knowing when they've experienced racism. So I think there's elements of dismissiveness that exist there in situations where you've actively called out racism or you've reported it or whatever it is. And that's dangerous because people are going to gaslight you and make you feel like you're doing something wrong for doing the very thing you should be doing in the first place.
But I think, first of all, white people, it's okay. If someone says you're racist, just be like, how and what did I do? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to beat your ass for being racist. More time you don't even know that you're being racist. So it's the thing is that we need to learn to have, you know, cordial conversations, be respectful, and just come in with open mind. And I can explain why this was racist and whatever you said or did was racist. And you can at least be respectful and take it in and not do it again. Do you get what I mean? And that goes for not just for work colleagues, like for everyone. Like even some teachers need to get checked. Do you know what I mean? Like, and some parents and stuff like that. Like, where everyone gets so defensive because nobody wants to be branded as racist. Yeah.
I wouldn't say so, no. Because there can be underlying factors that determine the decision the employer has made, such as merit, such as like experience, such as how that interview's actually gone. So without any more information than what's provided, that is definitely not racist.
Well, I'm gonna need more context because sometimes the black guy probably just didn't meet the criteria of what they were looking for. He didn't have the qualifications. But if we're talking in terms of racism, well, you can say yeah, because it's like he was the only black guy and the 3 white guys got it. Like, how did he miss that chance? You know what I mean? So I can't say yes as 100%, but I'll say yeah for now.
That's not necessarily an example of racism. Could be any reason that the guy didn't get employed. Yeah, you know, you better make sure it was a damn good reason that you didn't employ my brother, but it could be any reason that you didn't get employed.
Potentially, maybe he doesn't have the skills to offer, etc. But obviously in that situation it does look very racist, but it could, to be fair, it could be portrayed as either or.
Not this one now. I'm not sure. It will depend on if the black guy was. If you look at his resume, if you know that he was the perfect guy for the job, but he still picked someone less than this guy, then I guess at that point you could look at it as racism. But if they all came equally the same, it just someone presents themselves differently, then no, it's not really racism.
So revisit history in it. Look at it from a perspective where you're not looking at it from your kind of imperialist perspective, and you're really trying to understand the dynamics at play here, and maybe pick up a book and read.
It's not fair, we're all equal. No matter what culture, skin colour, whatever, it's just not okay. And I feel like a lot of people who are racist should be punished for being racist, basically.
Oh, this is weird. Okay, first and foremost, the fact that you're racist doesn't make me hate you any less or more. Like, wait, what did I mean?
Stop being racist. Don't say those things. Unlearn the reason as to why you think racism is good.
It doesn't make me hate you because you're racist. I can understand that there's some things you have not been told or taught about or been checked on. So that's what I'm going to do for you. So the reason that you are racist, I'm guessing because you don't know any better and that you've not been told any better. So it's not your fault, but it is your fault that you haven't tried to acknowledge your wrongs and the fact that what you're saying and doing is affecting people and it is racist, and it's now up to you to educate yourself and to kind of right your wrongs, not just for yourself but for the sake of, society, that the way you're treating people is like, see as if somebody treated you the way you treated them. That's basically my principle. Like, if you generally don't like someone treating you the way you treat other people, then you should have checked yourself a long time ago. But it's okay, because I got books for you. Do you know what I mean? I can, I can educate you as best as I can, and I got shows that you can watch, movies, books that you can read.
Do your own research and don't rely on black people to teach you on how not to be racist, because it's not our jobs. I don't get paid to teach you to not be racist. You should teach yourself. You're very, very capable of learning and Googling. So do that and stop being racist.
But now, on honesty, like, it's not cool, do you get me? Like, it's really 2020, it's not cool. But I guess it starts with you, and I can't force you to change, but I encourage you for the sake of future relationships and just for your own understanding of how you're making people feel.
Fix yourself, really. I mean, come on. 2020, people are dying from coronavirus. I mean, like, fuck's sake, fix yourself. I mean, this is not like the 50s, 60s where you walk around and just hate. Come on, and nah, grow up. Nah, fix yourself. Nah, I don't know what else to tell you. At this point, it's on you to learn something. And no, just move on. It's a stupid question.
Now, I don't think everyone in my family would be okay with it, to be honest. Because it's that judgment like, oh, you should get someone from your same tribe, someone that speaks your same language and everything, which I just find like, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but bullshit.